to Greenville Grit, Greenville residents in touch on 103.7 WTIB. This is the local show that keeps you connected and in touch with the issues that affect what's happening in your community. Greenville Grit is sponsored by Ribeyes, Kid Construction, and Greenville Toyota. Now, here are your hosts for Greenville Grit, Terry Williams and Michael Overton.
Good evening and welcome to Greenville Grit. I'm Terry Williams.
I'm Michael Overton, and
I'm Dennis Mitchell.
All right, Dennis, good to see you this
Good to
evening.
see
Terry,
you.
of course, good to see you
Thank
too.
you.
Going to have a good show tonight. Talk a little bit about the bond discussion coming up for City Council tomorrow night.
That's right.
As well as our last week's guest announcement yesterday, Chief Son Aiden leaving Greenville to head back to Alexandria, Virginia.
Breaks my
Sounds
heart.
like it's good things going on for him, and
That's right.
hopefully for his family. But we got to fill and vacate a big seat
That's
there.
right,
So
exactly.
he's done a remarkable job here. But we're going to talk about all of that. But we
Sure.
always have to thank the sponsors before we get into it. So thank you so much for Greenville Toyota. If you're looking for a new Toyota or Scion vehicle or a new used car, go see Craig Ghost and the Greenville Toyota team at greenvilletoyota.com at 321-3000 or across from Fresh Market on Memorial Drive. Ribeye Steakhouse.
Oh, one of my favorite.
Yes, sir. Go get one of the salad bar or
Yes.
steaks. Pork chops are really good there.
That's right.
If you mention Greenville Grit, you get a surprise. I believe it's still a shrimp skewer with the purchase of any meal.
Okay.
They have a location on Arlington Boulevard, on Fire Tower, at the corner of Arlington and Fire Tower, as well as one in Williamston. Got to thank Kid Construction Group, the
Green Builder.
KCGBuildGreen.com. You can look them up on both Facebook and on the web. Bill Kidd is the proprietor of that business, builds wonderful homes. Creative Homes Winter can build a new construction or even do a rehab. And the Overton Group, real estate professionals serving all of Eastern North Carolina. Located here in Greenville, but we serve from Raleigh to the coast in property management, business brokerage, residential brokerage, and commercial sales and leasing. So we're going to take our 2-minute commercial break, come back, and we'll get into the show. See you in 2.
Announcing Green.
Welcome back. We've got lots to discuss today there were 2 major announcements made yesterday in Greenville. One of them I'm real happy about. One of them I'm not happy at all about. Let's talk
happy.
about
I wanna
let's
go
talk
happy
about
first.
happy first.
Yeah, let's talk about happy.
Well, let's talk about the Southwest Bypass. That
Yeah.
was a big,
That's what, a 2-year move up, I believe?
I believe
in the
so.
schedule?
Yeah. And
So if
what,
they're going to get that thing finished by 2018, they've got to get on it quick.
yeah,
'Cause
well,
that
it
is a
sounds
lot
like
of
that's
road.
the plan. So I didn't hear the announcement. I've only heard, the report of everything from the news. But it sounds like that they are just moving right along. They're going to get it going.
Yeah, it sounded like they were going to do like a design build, so they were going to be designing and construction simultaneously.
Yeah.
And they're
Well,
pretty much
they've
ready.
had a lot of the plans,
Yeah,
at
they're
least
ready
the general
to go.
plans
they're
ready
ready
for
to go
years.
with it. Yeah, they're ready to pretty much go ahead and start digging and laying asphalt down. So that's going to be great.
I just wish and I'm excited about that. That's good for our community. But man, from a travel standpoint, I wish they would finish 17 from Washington to Newbern.
That is such a need. Tommy and I were talking about this weekend because we were traveling a little bit, and of course my parents have lived in Wilmington, and my sister and I go back and forth that way, and sometimes we'll go that way from Washington to get even to Wilmington.
But it's a pain.
It's awful, and it's very
and
dangerous.
43 is no. I'd rather go just from through Grimesland that way. But
I
it's
know.
rough.
Well, certainly don't want to bring any negative into the Southwest Bypass discussion, but I have to say I thought about all of those funds going for what we do need, but then how is it going to affect? We're going to have a wonderful road out there and still
But you can't get here.
can't get around Greenville with all the potholes. So I am hoping in all of this conversation we'll get some funding to get the other state maintained roads that the upcoming bond discussion won't cover, because we need all of it.
Well, they're really promoting, and I don't know enough about it, Dennis. Dennis, maybe you do, on how the projects are being considered. Where in the
Right.
past it was very political of how it was
That's
done.
right.
Now they're actually taking local needs and considerations and doing models to build what is needed. So,
Right.
I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of projects that
There-
are being
there are a
considered
lot.
now. So that's exciting. We used to be called the Good Road State,
That's
but
right.
hopefully we'll get that back.
Yeah, I mean, when the governor came on board, that's one of the first things they did, but there was some concerns when they initially changed it. How was that going to affect, us mid-sized towns, because historically all the money has went to Raleigh, Charlotte, and those areas, and the new
Right.
formula kind of made us feel like it might do the same thing. But this.
Well, we had bridges across Newbern.
Yeah, this project's been pushed up $250 million. I mean, completely done in one swoop. I mean, this is huge. I
think so too.
I think Henry said it. I think we're gonna have some construction, road maintenance people out there that does this kind of contracting. Going to be very happy for the next few years.
Well, I hope that it will present a lot of opportunities for new jobs while it's being constructed. And, of course, what we're looking for is the economic development that will bring, which they talk about. That's going to be a big deal, too. And that's what we need. Well, if we get that done, then maybe we'll have all the extra money we need to fix everything else that needs to be done.
I mean, I see another division in the Overton Group, road construction.
No, I just looked before we started the show. I said I need to cut back some things. I'm not going to be doing a new one.
Well, it's exciting, and everybody's really talking about it. I didn't think I'd see it while I was alive. Probably not be finished, but because I am a little bit older than you guys. But it looks like it will come to pass a lot quicker.
Excited. I mean, because we've been hearing about this for years and years and years. And another project we hear really a lot about that's going to cause issues when it does happen is the Evans Street corridor. When Evans Street hits that from Greenville Boulevard to Fire Tower Road.
Right.
Man, you talking about making some people mad. I mean, some of the plans done with the medians, right-outs and right-ins, and very difficult to travel up and down that road based on what they're proposing.
But they are thinking that this Southwest bypass will, alleviate a lot of traffic off Memorial Drive and Greenville Boulevard. I hope that it does that. I've seen a difference a little bit since Regency opened, even with the traffic flow.
Regency.
I do too. People should use that more and more because it really does help a lot with the traffic flow.
But one of the things, and I haven't seen, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but living in Washington when they did the really big bypass around Washington, I know that it took some of the big trucks off, but that's still a really busy road on 17.
I don't see that it did that much
travel
for them.
on that big bridge. When you travel it, you're by yourself.
I know. I've ridden over it once or twice just to count how many other cars were on the road with me, and there just weren't any. And then the roads in Washington are pitiful. It's horrible. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer to all that is, except a lot of money.
The happy stuff. With some bad thrown in. Let's talk about the sad news. And we had an opportunity, in honor, as I always say, to have him on the show last week. And he's such an incredible guest, and I think has done a remarkable job for our city with just seeing the reduction in crime and some of the things that they put in place.
We're talking about Chief Aiden.
Chief Hassan Aiden, police chief, and I heard it on the news yesterday. Immediately texted Terry. So what's going on? Didn't know anything about it. Dennis, talk about it.
I mean, this one hurts. I mean, we just had the best police chief in the world.
I know.
I mean, one that was personable, that you can talk to, that's not afraid to address tough issues, and was really built on performance management, building upon creating a very good police department, always constantly making improvements. It's something that I haven't seen even from past chiefs that I thought were good chiefs.
Right.
So, I mean, this saddens me. He had a 5-year strategic crime fighting
we
plan.
had a good chief when he's getting called by the Department of Justice to go to Ferguson, Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
And consult. So, that tells you we had a really good police
and we
chief.
knew it was going to be a matter of time. We just, I guess I just hoping
didn't think it was this soon.
This soon.
Yeah.
So,
well, I am certainly hoping that the things that he's put in place can be carried on and that the rest of the department, caught his vision for what needs to be continued.
Well, several of the policemen that I know have.
Right.
And they're confident in him and the direction he was going. And so hopefully with interim chief Ted Sauls, we'll be able to keep that going. And in the paper today, that's what he said he wanted to do is continue to proceed and not go backwards.
Well, I certainly hope we get someone as good as Chief Aiden, but I think we'll be making a mistake if we try to replace him because he's just a one-of-a-kind person.
Oh, yes.
He just is. Just his whole manner, just like you said, what he brings, the atmosphere of the room when he walks in. He commands and demands the respect without putting it out there. It just comes natural.
Well, he's the first police chief in my entire life living in Greenville that I've actually ever met.
Right.
And you and I have had him on the show several
right.
times, and we'll sit 30 minutes after the show just shooting the bull,
talking about things. And so I think he probably, based on what we've gotten to know, with him this year, he probably has mixed feelings about it too, because I think he could see progress that had been made here, which made him happy for the safety of our citizens because that's where his heart was. But I certainly can understand him taking that move. He couldn't have turned it down.
Yeah, I mean, he's familiar with that area. He stayed there for a very long time.
25
and plus,
years.
I mean, people are driven by different things. Some are
Right.
driven by money, but I think our chief is driven by making an impact communities.
Right.
And this way he can have a national platform to impact communities all
Right.
across the United States. And I think this is a dream job for him.
Yeah,
Yes.
for people that don't know, he's not going back to be another police chief. He's
No.
That's
actually
right.
heading the, I guess, International Police Chief Organization. I
Yeah,
can't remember the
he's
exact name of it.
He's heading the International Association of Chief of Police.
Mm-hmm.
He's heading a division of them.
Right.
I think it's research and policy or something
Right.
like that. So.
And pretty impressive.
And so
Very.
he's actually we're in a good position because he's also in the position that's going to help us find a new
Maybe
police chief.
that's right.
So, yeah. Well, and it sounds like he is going to help with that transition, which I
yeah.
think will be great.
I think will be great too.
Okay,
That sounds
that's
great.
two off the
Two
list.
of our
Terry,
little
where do you want
list.
to go now? Bond.
Well, we got a meeting tomorrow night with City Council, and all of us served on the Bond Advisory Committee, and there's been a great deal of discussion this week because
I heard I was called
premature
What
discussion.
did you call out for?
I heard I was called out by a resident. They linked me to the Uptown Greenville group
Oh wow!
with Bianca and with Tony Corey. That it was again a charade to have us up there, and I guess my question would be, what did I push on Uptown Greenville?
Yeah.
I don't think I
There's
even really
nothing
mentioned
on
it at
Uptown
all.
Greenville.
Nor
No.
did we even put a bond out there for Uptown Greenville. So.
Well, I think
No.
the most important thing that's bothering me is that there's a lot of discussion, some of it by a couple of the council members, prematurely, I think, that aren't telling the whole story because they don't even know it yet. They don't even seem to reveal to the public when they're revealing their feelings about it, that there's a lot of recommendations coming from the committee to go along with what we've suggested. And if those recommendations that you'll present tomorrow night aren't picked up as well, we're not in favor of that bond. There wasn't anybody in that
Well,
room.
let's talk about that because I
that
think
was
the
in
public
favor.
needs
That's
to know
very, very important.
what are the recommendations. Dennis, you're the chair of that. You mind talking about it?
Along with what we send them for a bond package, we recommend that the city starts to fund the $2.5 million worth of road maintenance needed annually to keep up with
And that came from their head of public works.
Yeah, to keep up-
said that they need $2.5 million a year just to maintain the roads,
Yeah,
and
so-
they're doing $350,000 a year. I believe is all they've been doing. So
We're saying that we're going to give you this road package, but we also want you to continue to keep up your maintenance so you don't have to come back to the citizens 10 years from now
Right.
and be in the same situation.
Exactly.
So we gave them that. We told them that, and I don't know the word is right, either to repurpose or repeal the one
Or
penny.
reallocate.
Or reallocate the one
Right.
penny that they raised in taxes that they didn't need to raise, that everybody now knows were premature. We asked them to repurpose that instead of going to the citizens and asking them to raise taxes some more
That's
on
right.
top of that. And what was the other? I think there was one more other one.
Well, I think it's going to be really important, too, that the citizens realize that, we've said this before, there may not have to be a tax increase. And if things continue on the upward, it looks like that it will for the economy come back and increase of revenues for the city, it's possible because they didn't have to raise it when they did the 2004 bond, that we may not have to raise it again. So if they repurpose or reallocate the 1 cent and even had to do a 1 cent, it really would only be a 1 cent tax
how
increase.
that works, as you said, is as the economy comes back, as the tax base gets built, as
That's
the city
right.
continues to grow, they're bringing in more revenue than they're spending. So
That's
that
right.
means they go beyond the revenue neutral mark, which keeps us from having to go up a cent or 2 cent or 4 cent
That's
in
right.
taxes.
Well, I just want people to make sure they look at the benefits of these things, and that's why I think Councilmember Blackburn's comments were all based. And
Let's talk about the comments. People may not know.
This is not. She said this is not what you asked for. This building this park on the outskirts of the city is not going to do anything for the citizens of Greenville. We need to invest in parks. That's part of our capital maintenance plan. That's for Greenville, and she got to understand that this was really not put towards as a park. This was
Right.
put forth as an economic development initiative.
Right.
And if it goes off well, hopefully, the revenue generated from the economic impact, the increased stays in hotels, going to increase the hotel tax. People spending money here, sales tax and prepared meals tax. All that revenue is going to increase, which will allow us to take care of the things we need to take care of
Right.
for our
And
citizens.
if I'm not mistaken, not knowing
We're
exactly,
talking about the sports complexes. We didn't
Yes.
say that.
Yeah,
the
the
other
sports complex
the other issue that
was
we
$12 to $13 million
Right, about
bond that we're putting in addition to the road bond
Right.
to build softball fields, baseball fields, soccer, lacrosse, a massive complex. Rocky Mountain's got one, Myrtle Beach has got one, some towns in Virginia. They've proven to be huge economic contributors to the local economy, because yes, you are bringing people from the outside, which is what we want to do.
Why spend
in a
all
town,
only our dollars?
because we bring the outside
That's
dollars
right.
in to invest in our city, to provide the jobs at the hotels, to provide the jobs at the restaurants, that hopefully people, when they're here, say, this is a wonderful community, I want to move here. So
Well, and there have been mixed feelings. We've heard a lot of positives about the idea of it, and let's explore it and see if that's a good idea. And also have had some negatives, but I heard on Henry's show this week, the gentleman from Tarboro that called, how wonderful he thought it was and how much he thought it would even help Rocky Mount Tarboro if we had one and we fed off of each other, that it could really turn out to be something really big. But I think the other thing that bothers me is we were given a whole lot of choices. So for Marion to say it wasn't a choice, it certainly was.
And
we were given
other
it.
parks items
We
were on
were
there.
giving the 16 items right at the very beginning, and then we started going through and getting presentations made on all 16 items. So the reason, I guess, it didn't really come to the top in the very beginning, when we ranked the items that we thought that were important, we had not been given the presentations yet. We really didn't know. We were just looking at the little bit of information we had, and so as we weeded through that, some things did come to the top that that maybe weren't there in the beginning, and we got more information. And I have the sheet here showing the Rocky Mount Economic Impact Report for a 6-year comparison, and I just think it would be really important, and I'm sure anybody could get this information, but in their first year, now they spent about $12 million. They had to do some work to the soil and all, remediation, before they could start construction. But in their first year, they brought in $4.8 million. Next year, 7, then 7.5, then 8.3, then 8 again. Now they're at 8.6. So they've more than paid for the construction of this and have more. So something needs to be done for economic development. We all felt like that in the room. If this will work, then we can have all the parks we want. We'll have the money to put in to develop all of the parks that we need and want. But you will never convince me, as long as I live, that a regular park is going to make people come to Greenville and visit and spend their dollars. It's just not going to happen.
And that's where you got to look at the bigger vision and not look at your pet projects. Because we all, if you asked us all individually, we probably come up with a different bond package.
That's
but look
right.
at what's best for the city of Greenville.
Well, you're talking about 14 people on there, each appointed, 2 of us by each member of council. Now, I'm not going to say who Marion.
So the block of 4 had 8 appointees, the majority.
Right.
So
Well,
I
if
mean,
you want to look at it that
yeah,
way.
I mean, they could have went any way they wanted to go, but I think I think once people got in there,
But
the
my
politics
point
got
is,
thrown out the window.
we did. It was
That's
a good
right.
group of
It
people.
was very good, and that's
from
what
a
I want to
huge
say.
variety. And by her writing that article, and I will call her out. That's the second time she's spoken up too early.
Right,
in 2 months.
exactly.
The riots with
yeah.
Halloween, she should have kept her mouth shut there, and she should have stayed out of this.
She
Listen
should
to the
have. Wait
presentation.
until the presentation.
These
Yeah.
are people that city council listened. You appointed us to go on there
That's right.
to do this. We're putting it up. Please withhold your opinions until after you do it, and respect our opinions, because we're the ones representing.
Two things I
city.
want to say. That committee, even though they were appointed by the bloc that has the majority, I enjoyed working with them. Everyone expressed their opinions. We respected each other's opinions. They were just awesome to be around and get ideas about what all the citizens because we were all from different areas, different jobs, different places that we live. And I mean, I really enjoyed being with them. The second thing is this was put together correctly. We did it as a committee correctly. Put it out there and let the citizens decide.
Yeah, let them be
if
their
the
choice.
citizens don't want it and we can't sell it, not we, but the advocacy, I said it right this time, committee can give them the information, educate the public, and they think it's a good thing, let them vote for it. If they don't think it's a good thing, fine. Don't pass it. And when we sit down next time, whoever the bond committee is, then they'll come up with something else. But I don't think that the city council, to me, I mean, you might say they have the right, and I guess they do what they want, but do not feed us constantly with we're wanting to do what our citizens want to do, and then don't give them the right to either vote it up or down.
Yeah, because we met, 9 times?
10 times.
10.
Extensive information.
Yeah.
They're not going to get all this information in a January planning
No.
session.
No, they're
and
not.
From being on the city council the last 2 years, I mean, I've been on there longer than some of the new ones on
Right.
there. I know that we received information that the city council has never seen
That's
before.
exactly right.
And we really delved into it and got into the economics of it.
This is no different than one of the members of the city council getting involved before the last meeting where they should have stayed out of it.
Yeah.
That's
and
exactly
now one of the
right.
members of the city council is getting involved before the presentation.
Absolutely, and I think that either they're going to say either go with this bond package or don't go with this bond package. But if they get there in their plan session in January and start tweaking it, it's done an injustice to the community and injustice to all the people who gave their time,
Yeah.
effort,
Yeah.
twice a month to come up with this bond package.
I mean, we had a lot of homework, a very thick book of information that we had to go through, and before we could even come to any conclusions about. We all knew, frankly, I'm not happy that we're having to do a bonds for the roads. I'm not happy because it's not
shouldn't have
new
to.
roads. It's not new anything, but we have no choice. This is one thing that we really don't. But then after that, we do have a choice. The city council has a choice to, like we said, allocate the 2.5. Let's keep the roads that are in bad shape now, keep them from being further deteriorated, and keep what we're going to spend to repair, keep it up.
I think it's probably a good break right now.
Yeah,
We need to
probably
go to our
is.
second commercial break. It's been a pretty quick few minutes. We'll take our last 2-minute break, come back, and wrap up the show.
Welcome back to the Greenville Grit. Of course, we've been talking about many issues. The big, major $250 million road project we got about to start in Greenville, the retirement of our beloved police chief that we're all saddened about, and the bond commission. The bond committee's presentation to the city council on Thursday night. But another thing that's coming up on Thursday night is it's the irony. You cannot make this stuff up. There's an agenda item right before this where they're going to talk about, Councilwoman Blackburn's put on the agenda to talk about capital improvement projects. You know, they have this $2.5 million extra dollars above the 14% fund balance. And she's going to talk about capital improvement projects. She's ready to spend that money.
I'm very concerned about them spending that money down and spending down the fund balance.
I mean, they spend that fund balance down. I mean, this is
We're going
concerning
to be
to
in
me.
really big trouble.
Really big trouble.
Yeah. I mean, did we not hear the audit report? The audit report said be careful not to do that.
Not to
Why are
do
we
this.
spending that money?
I don't know. And I mean,
What are the suggestions of the project?
We don't know.
yet.
We don't know.
I'm sure it'll have something to do with
Parks.
so I mean, that's very interesting because of how the whole discussion went in the last election about that and how they said they were going to wait till the January planning session to do anything after Councilwoman Kenny Smith had already laid out. Let's spend some of this other $3 million.
Just like they waited to the January planning session to talk about tax increases?
Exactly. So, it's. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You know, it's not being talked about in the news. The Daily Reflector continues to disappoint me. It's like they
The Daily Reflector recently has started criticizing that.
But I mean, then they quote things that she said. I mean, they quote their newsletters and stuff a lot. And to
Right.
me, that's not really news.
Well,
That's
it's
just
not
their
really an
opinion.
editorial to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I agreed with some of the other some summaries of their editorial this week with the bond talk. They were on both sides. You can't be on both sides. You got to pick your side. Well, I don't know how they can really pick a side unless they have gotten the information that we've gotten. Which is exactly what we're accusing
Abby
her of
Bennett
doing.
was in
Abby
every
was
single
there,
meeting.
She
but
didn't write the editorials.
she didn't write the editorial.
Somebody
No.
on the editorial staff.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just my thing. You know, this council is just do as I say. Not.
I think
not
it's a
as I
good
do.
way to wrap the show up in the next couple of minutes. I mean, we've got end of year, so they've had a full year on the council, and I don't want to get into personal bashing on that, but we do need to look at progress, and we got to talk about next year
That's
because at this point we've got basically gone this year with. I feel like almost going backwards. There's been no vision set out. There are no capital improvement projects that have been discussed. The only progress made was 2 tax increases, and yes, we're going to keep hammering that because it was
Well,
done.
even Brian on the show
reactively.
talked about it from the legislative
yeah.
point of view. It was not necessary. It was not necessary to have the tax increase at that
Actually,
time.
we got him wound up. I was
No, he
impressed.
was
Oh yeah.
Then
I
we
We'll
got a
have
text
him
from
back on
Dennis
again.
that.
I
As
was
a matter
watching
of
the show. I
fact,
was like, wow, you know.
yeah, as a matter
I've
of fact,
never quite seen that much emotion out of him.
yeah, no,
so.
that show will be replayed over the holidays. So anybody
Yeah.
who wants to hear that will be able to hear that. So I think they should take a listen because that was from their point of view what this council started here in Greenville with trying to do something that
Well,
was
and it was the
not.
Greenville City Council
it
that
was
caused the
that's
state law
exactly
to be
right.
enacted.
They did it on their
So
own.
congratulations on that. I guess that's progress.
That's progress.
Well, what do you want to see though? 2015. What do you want to see?
I want the city to continue what was started 2 years ago as far as economic development. I think we were on to something good, and we
Right.
just stopped. You know, we're creating jobs and we stopped. You know, we got to get back there so City of Greenville can reach its fullest potential and not be left out of the loop in some of these jobs in these industries looking for places to go.
Well, I'm still a little bit concerned that we don't really know for sure. We took the South Greenville Gym out of the bond recommendations because we had been told it would be funded some other way. But right now, it's still up in the air as far as I can tell. I can't tell that anything final has been
Well, they got
moving forward.
$2.5 million. Maybe they can go ahead and get
they
that
could do
done.
that.
They're
Get it
not
done.
going to use it for that,
They
Dennis.
won't use
You
it
know
for that.
No, Greenway.
Well, look, we do need to wrap the show up. So, as always, again, we thank the sponsors that we have: Greenville Toyota, Kidd Construction Group, the Overton Group, and Ribeye Steakhouse. Mention Greenville, get a prize. You will see us again 6:30 Friday night.